Hey everybody, you're watching the From WordPress to Statamic YouTube channel. My name is Michael. Today I want to talk about user roles and permissions. Now this is something that comes with Statamic out of the box, but you'll probably need a pro license to take full advantage of these features. But it's better to do this, in my opinion, here than having to download some third-party plugin to get this on your WordPress website, for example. Now, let's talk about why you might want different user roles and permissions in the first place. Well, maybe in your app you have different kinds of people who use it. Let's look at a course platform, for example. You'll have teachers maybe, and you might have students. Maybe you have other staff who might log in to manage things for you. These different kinds of users will have different reasons for logging in, so you want to make sure that what's available to them is appropriate. So let's go ahead and take a look at the user section in the dashboard. If I come over here, you can see I've already created a couple of other users for my test install here. Usually I'm logging in with the test account, but I've created a moderator and I've created an editor, and maybe these will have different permissions. Maybe the editor will only be able to look at the blog collection, for example, and the moderator might be able to look at that, plus other different kinds of collections, and have different levels of permissions for editing, and so forth. Now I could create a role and assign it to an individual user, and a given role will have certain permissions. Or, if this app grows, that can get pretty unwieldy, so maybe I'll assign these different roles to different groups, and then the different users can be part of those groups. And if I need to change all the permissions at once, I can just go in and change the roles that are assigned to a given group. That way I don't have to change which roles are assigned to every different user if I want to change that. So let's take a look. First, let's look at permissions. Here, this is where I'll say I want a role for my editors, for example. So I'll create my role and we'll call it editor. And this role is not going to be super user. They're going to be able to log in. So I'm going to say they're going to have access to the control panel. And then down here, they're going to be able to view blog entries, and they'll be able to edit entries. And we'll just tick all these boxes. And maybe they don't need to edit other authors' entries. Maybe that will be the moderator who will be able to do that. So for now, they'll be able to edit, create, delete, reorder, but it's only for their own. So I'll just save that. Okay, let's create another role and call this one moderator. Again, not a super user, but they will have access to the control panel. They'll be able to view the blog entries and edit all this stuff. Plus, they'll be able to edit other authors' entries. Maybe the moderator will have access to other collections as well. So for now, let's just say view and edit pages. And I'll save that. Now, if I was to log in as one of these, you'll see what happens. So let me just log out as the test user, and let's log in now as the editor. Oh, I'm unauthorized. I wonder what that's about. Okay, let's go back and look at test. Now, I think I know what happened. We didn't actually tell our system yet that my editor only has that capability. So let's go and make sure that that's the case. So let's go edit my editor. And so there are no roles assigned to this. So I can say that my editor has the editor role. And let's save that. And let's log out. Actually, before we do, let's do the same with the moderator. You can say the moderator has the moderator role. And we haven't looked at groups yet, but we'll get there. Save that. Okay, now I'll log out. Now we'll try the editor again. Okay, now I'm logged in as the editor. And lo and behold, the only content that I can see here is the collections, and it's only the blog collection. Now I can go in here, the blog, I can create an entry. So I can manage my blog posts, I can create new ones, but I won't be able to do anything else. And that's exactly what we want. Now, if I was to log out and look at my moderator, we will see that I will have a little bit more that I can access. I can see the blog and the pages. Now, we can already see that there's some overlap between these two roles. Now, there's the potential that as my app grows, these roles might diverge. So maybe we can be a little bit more fine-tuned with how this is working. So I'm going to log out again and go back to my super admin account, and we'll untangle things a little bit. So I'm going to go back to my users and editor. I'm going to unlink that. And I'm going to also do the same with my moderator. Okay, so I'm going to go over to groups now. I'm going to create a group. And so maybe all of my editors will belong to this group. So I'll say editors. And I know that all of my editors will have this editor role. Save that. Oh, already saved it. Okay, so let's go back to groups. Maybe I'll create another one called moderators. And we'll use that moderator role. And we'll save. Okay. So now I'll go back to my users and I will say to my editor, you are no longer solely on the role of editor, but you belong to the editor group, which has the role of editor. And I'll do the same with my moderator. You no longer have the role of moderator, but you belong to the group of moderators, which has that role. Now, both of the roles that are assigned to these groups share some overlap in terms of what those roles are capable of. Let's look at what I mean by that. If I go to the permissions of the editor, for example, the editor can look at the blog collections and make edits, but they can also access the control panel. Maybe there's a different group that might want to have access to the control panel, but not access to this, for example, or vice versa. So I'm going to uncheck that, and I'm going to do the same with the moderator. Access the control panel. And now I'm going to create another role that can access the control panel. And I'll save that, and that's all that this one can do. Now I can edit my groups and add this new control panel role to each of those groups. Now I can edit this group, and I can say that the editors group has the role of editor, but it also can access the control panel. I can go back and do the same with moderators, edit that. So the moderators can also access the control panel. Now, rather than going in and editing the role itself later on, if I decided that they can't access the control panel, all I have to do is remove that role from this group. And that way I can control with a little bit more fine-grained control who has access to what in each group. And I don't have to edit one user at a time. And I don't necessarily even have to edit the roles. All I have to say is which role belongs to a group. So this is our brief introduction to roles and permissions for users in Statamic. I hope you got some light bulb moments here so you can see how flexible this can be in terms of building applications with multiple users and different use cases like that. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you haven't already, sign up for my mailing list. The link is in the description. Catch you next time.